Hello humans. I recently went to Canadian Tire and I saw something very, very interesting. At my local enough Canadian Tire, they were selling the Buck 190 for, is this the right receipt? A grand total of $12.99 Canadian. So, I mean, my current standard for the best budget, extreme budget buck knife I've ever gotten is my 311. This guy ended up costing me $16 at a different Canadian Tire. So let's get into this and see what it's like. It's in that plastic bullshit. There. It doesn't even cut in a satisfying way. Like, I know my knife is fairly sharp, but it just doesn't want to cut nicely. And you have to cut so much of it. There we go. In order for it to open enough. And the knife's trying to attack me immediately. Cool. Oh, I should check the packaging. 420 stainless steel. It's got a nail nick. It's got a liner lock. Forever warranty. Oh, this is funny. Check this out. So, the blade specifications. In French, I don't know if you guys can read that. They're in centimeters. 8,4 cm or 8.4. And the total length is 19,2 cm or 19.2 centimeters. And over here on the English side, they are done in inches, 3.3 inches and 5.5 inches respectively. Although, interestingly, the total length is also offered in centimeters, whereas the blade length isn't. And the weight is offered in grams and ounces, whereas in French it is only offered in ounces. I don't know why. I can't imagine they sell this knife in France. So the only possible explanation is that they expect French Canadians to want... I know Quebec's weird. Like, I fully understand the fact that Quebec is just a bizarre part of the country. You suckers are still part of our country. But I don't think that they're that weird. I don't think they use a fully different system of measurement. But that being said, I haven't been out hunting Quebecois lately, so I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. Bucknans will cover up any defects in warranty. Misuse or abuse of the knife. Yeah, other than that, I think this is pretty boring. Their Twitter handle is Edge of a Legend. I wouldn't have expected that. Yeah, okay. Nothing else of interest. Made in China. So, comes with a blade protector because, of course, you need, or a tip protector because you need even more plastic. The main body is made out of this machined aluminum. It's textured back here, and I actually do kind of like the texturing pattern done to it, but the upper section isn't. And it's very smooth. Like, even comparing it, it feels as smooth as this Rake, I want to say P101 or P108, P128. But yeah, it feels just as smooth as that. Like, this is a very, very smooth knife. It's got a clip point blade. There's a little bit of jimping right here, but it's very shallow. Like, you can feel it. It's definitely there, but it's quite rounded off, as you can see. And it's quite shallow, so there's not much bite. The jimping back here is actually quite a bit better. It just feels a little bit deeper. It's just as rounded off, but it feels just a little bit deeper. I'm going to directly compare that to the jimping on my 311. The jimping on the 311, like, it's visibly sharper, and I feel like it bites a lot better. The jimping back here is pretty trash, but right here, there's quite a bit of traction. And then, for reasons unknown, there's, again, quite good jimping way back here on the handle. I guess, I don't know. Oh, I bet you it's for when you're holding the knife like this, so that you can use it more traction on the palm of your hand, I guess. I don't know. In terms of construction, the 311 has not G10, I think it's just straight up a polymer. Handles with full-length liners and nested liner lock. Whereas the 190 has full-length liners, non-nested liner lock, and these aluminum handles. I'm assuming it's anodized and not coated aluminum. It feels anodized. To this nice little pale blue color. It doesn't seem to have a captive pivot, whereas the 311 does. As you can see, there's a screw end on both sides, whereas on the 311, there is on one side and there is not on the other. Got that backwards, whatever. Ooh. That is crisp. I can shave the fingernail on that. That is... If you want to strike a fire steel, this knife will do it happily. It's got a little bit of a swedged section. 311 won't. It's got just a little bit of rounding on the corners. It's not like chamfered. It's nowhere near that far. It's just a little bit rounded. Okay. That is very, very hydraulic. So usually my measure of how sort of hydraulic a knife is has to do with two things. The amount of pressure it takes to open it and how happy it is at any given point along its travel. So something like this 311, for example, actually takes quite a bit more pressure to get the start going because it's got a detent bolt, and by the same principle, more or less, it does want to close, and there are areas throughout the travel where it wants to open. Right, like this last little bit, it really wants to open. It takes much less pressure to open it than to keep it, than to switch its direction. What I would consider to be a hydraulic knife, in comparison, is very, very happy being at any point along its travel. And I think that this right here actually does a really good job of that, because, like, literally any point along its travel, this thing is happy to be. There's a little bit of pressure, but it's not too severe. Like, it's not what I would call a free-floating privet. It sounds like there's some dirt or something in there, but it doesn't feel like it. It's on, looks like phosphor bronze liners, or maybe one Teflon, one bronze liner. But, like, it feels pretty happy to be at any point throughout its travel. But yeah, not a very, very fidgety knife. In comparison, the 311 has an opening hole, so you can thumb flick it. This thing loves being open in the reverse flick. And of course, you can still slow roll it without too much difficulty. In comparison, though, the 190, I mean, you can open it one-handed, very, very similar to the one-handed opening of a Buck 110, but as it mentions in its packaging, this is designed to be nail nick open. The handle design is inoffensive. Like, I find it aesthetically quite pleasing. I do sort of wish that they'd kept this, although, would it then be noticeable in the indent? I do sort of wish that they had kept this line going right through the scalloped area. It's very, very much designed to be held sort of in this position, but it's not too, like, it's not offensive in any other hand position. The pocket clip is definitely what I would consider to be a hot spot, and also what I would consider to be a little bit ugly. Like, you can see how much it, like, swoops up and has that massive beak going on. Comparison, the 311 just sort of swoops up. It doesn't have any of that overhang. And this works great for in and out of pockets. I actually would imagine this right here would work quite well for getting in and out of pockets. Like, it's big and wide in there, but it's just too much. Like, it's too long. It does, like, it's clearly spring steel, and it is recessed. Like, you can see it's got those flat screws, and it is recessed fully into the scale material, which I do like. Like, it is nicer on your pockets, but then they ruin that by not having a smooth patch in the texturing, although it's not aggressive texturing. Like, I don't think it'll damage your pockets or anything like that, but it is It's funny to me that they're putting the detail in to mill out that little area and then decided to leave texturing underneath the pocket clip. In terms of construction, you've got this stop pin back here, which is the stop pin for both positions. And then you've got two body pillars, one back here and one here. You've got no liner attachment unless you want to use this back pillar, which I wouldn't recommend. Can't get to the blade or anything along those lines. Lock up. I'm feeling absolute, like, there's no play here. Lockup is, what is that, like 30 to 40%? I guess locked up a good and solid. I don't think it's coming apart anytime soon. It's got a satin finish on the blade. I think that the blade looks pretty good. I mean, it's going to pick up scratches. Oh, I guess this isn't too bad. A little bit worse on the backside. But, like, this satin finish, it picks up scratches over time. That is just a reality of the situation. It's got a mid or saber height, I guess. That is a hollow. No, is it? Got their plunge grind in sort of a weird spot. You've got like one sharpen out of that plunge grind, by the way. Like there's nothing there. I think I need something with a flat edge. I can't quite tell if this is just a shallow hollow grind or... Yeah, okay. It is definitely a hollow grind, but it's a fairly shallow one. Almost to the point where it looked like a flat, so I don't think you're getting all that much out of it from a slicing perspective. And, I mean, the blade stock, it's not uber thick, right? Like, here it is up against a 110. Actually, wow, I just about cut myself. That was very dumb. It is a difficult knife to hold on to. Yeah, I think that's the exact same thickness as the 110. So, like, it's compared to an Opinel, right? Like, it's, what, close to twice the thickness of an Opinel? Okay, something I am noticing the more that I handle this, it is slick in the hand. Like, my Rake P128 doesn't feel as slick in the hand. Like, there's no texturing on it, but it doesn't quite feel so slippery. I think it might just be because it's aluminum, so it feels quite a bit, like, lighter. It's almost harder to get a full grip on it. Clip point blade, slight swedge. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. It is an knife that exists. I think it's made fairly well. The materials are perfectly fine, especially for a tool, which is what I think this is designed to be. I wish the jimping, especially on the blade, was a little bit more aggressive. I do think that out of these two, I am going to prefer the 311, but I do think that there are some benefits to having a little bit of belly and a little bit of flat in a knife, whereas with the 311, it's got a slight recurve to it, which again, has its advantages, has its disadvantages. I think that for me personally, this would actually make a better everyday tool, but it's less fun without that blade, like with the different blade hole opening and a very, very tiny detemp ball. I don't think that this is a knife that I'm going to have in my pocket as much because it's not as much fun to play with. But I do think that if I am intentionally going out to do wood carving or something like that, I am fairly likely to pick this thing up. What is the edge like? That's a piece of paper I can't cut. Receipt paper. Do I not have any paper nearby? Alright, I guess we are testing it on this slightly thicker than normal cardstock. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing like, there's no divots or anything like that. It's got a slightly toothy edge out of the factory. Yeah, it's got a slightly toothy edge out of the factory. I think that this is really, really good on like wood or fibrous material. Like, you'll get a good bite and you'll be able to keep a good bite. It's fine. I don't know. I'm going to sharpen this up and not worry about the factory edge, but out of the box it will cut stuff. Yeah, I'm not super blown away, but I am actually quite happy with this knife. I think that this is a very, very reasonable object that will cut well. Stay safe and have fun with her, guys. Peace.